um, the Python coding series from ASAP Education Gaming Academy, and I will be your tutor, Dion. And so, as you saw in my comment, we are getting input from users and string methods. And this is all relevant to strings, which is a data type. Strings, which is a data type. Let me just put it there, data type. So getting input from users will be fun because as you see right now when, let's just do print. This is the best example. Let's do hi. So let's say you wanted to type back in the terminal and say hi. If you did hi, you would get an error that the command is not defined. But getting input from users allows you to respond to a question. So I'm just going to say getting input is like asking a question. Getting input from a user asking a question to them. And as you probably know that our world is full of questions and something like, let's just say, I was just looking at my MacBook battery. So let's just say battery is equal to input, which is also a function. And then you want to say input, and then in here, just like the print statement, enter two quotations, single or double, your choice. Then you can ask what your question. What is your battery? Battery percentage. And then you see that I entered a space here, and I'll tell you why in a second. And let's just print battery. And if you were to do this without a variable, let's just comment both of these out, and let's see, save, and then run. So it says, what is your battery percent? I say 80, and then nothing happens. So what we want to do is store this in a variable. So now let's run it, and we want to, let's do 80%. So it says, oh, I see one. Let's run this again, and I'll show you why. So let's do 80, and it says, what is your battery percent? 80. So this is what we wanted, basically. But if we want to enter percent, we get an error. Let's try this again. So it says, let me just control D this, and let's read the error. So battery equals input, so it says the percent sign isn't administered. Alright, so you don't really need the 80%, it doesn't really matter. But if you're getting an error, you can try this. Int, and then add that. We went over that in the last tutorial. So, what is your, right there, 80. Mine is 78 now. So I print out 78. And this is what you can actually do. So you can say, my battery percentage is, and then plus battery. You can also do that, so it doesn't really matter. So let's do 80 again. Oops, 78. It doesn't really matter. So it says you cannot concatenate. Alright. I see why. So let's just leave this at how it is. Let's just make this str. Save, and run it. So it says my battery is 80%. So there you go. So that is getting input from users. So I'm just going to comment all of these out. I don't know what the cursor is doing over there. Macs are pretty picky sometimes. So the next thing we're going to be going over is string methods. And string methods are basically, as you know, related to do with strings. And there are a whole bunch of string methods. So let me just open my browser. And if you go on Google and search up string methods for Python, I should have done that before, Python. And then you see here we get docs.python.org. Don't go to W3 Schools. I never checked out their website, but go to the official source. So if you see here, there are a bunch of string methods, and I'm going to be covering 4 to 5, not all of them. And so yeah, let's get started. So let me go back to Visual Studio Code, and string methods work basically like this. So let's create a variable called course, and let's name it, or actually, yeah, course, ASAP Academy, ASAP Education and Gaming Academies Python course. Academies. There is something I wanted to show you guys. So here, Academies, you probably see that this S is white and it's not orangish like the other colors. That's because I chose to do a single quote, but if I do double quotes, that error won't be there anymore. Because if you do this with single quotes, then the Python will think that the string ended off here, and the rest of your text will get an error. So ASAP Academy, or ASAP Education, and Gaming Academies, Python Beginner Course. That's Python Beginner Course. It took me like an hour to create that variable, but nevertheless. So, as you probably think, you probably print out course and you get ASAP Education and Gaming Academy's Python Beginner Course. Let's run this and we get the same thing. I'm just going to clear the terminal. There's a lot. Anyways, so yeah. But what if we wanted to find out how many characters long this course variable is? How would you do that? That is one string method. What you would do is len, and it just gives you the size of how long the variable is, and we print it out. So our statement or course variable is 58 characters long. And you're probably thinking that if you were to manually count this, it would be 59. And you wouldn't be wrong. But Python counts differently. And this is known as indexing. And so what Python indexing, or how Python indexing works, is the first character starts off as 0, and then the next 1, 2, 3, so on. So it doesn't start with 1, it starts with 0. Keep that in mind, it will be useful. So then the next one is find. So we do course.find, and then we enter the text. So let's say we wanted to enter ASAP, which is as soon as possible. And let's run this. So it gives us the index at which ASAP is located. And currently it starts with A, so it's 0. And hopefully that makes sense. So we're going to be covering 3 more, and you can experiment with these at the website I showed you. So we can do course.upper, and if we were to do this, it would print everything out in uppercase. So we get ASAP Education and Gaming Academies Python Beginner Course when we printed it out like this, in some uppercase and some lowercase. So let's just copy this, the .upper one, and there is a .lower, and you're probably thinking it's to make everything lower, and you are correct. So it prints everything out, ASAP Education and Gaming Academies Python Beginner Course. That's a mouthful. Clear. So yeah, and let's just go over one more. Let's do print, course dot, let's see, replace. And then this needs 2 parameters. So it says old. So we want to include anything that's from here. So let's say we do Python advanced. Instead of beginner, we do advanced course. So it needs to be in the string. So we need to do beginner. And then we put a comma after this. No, not outside, but in here. So we do beginner, and then we want to replace it with advanced. Or let's do for basic. Python for basic beginners. It doesn't really matter whatever you enter. let's save this and run it. And you see here that we get everything else, and we get ASAP Education and Gaming Academies Python for Basic Beginners course when we wrote Python Beginner course. So yeah, that is string methods and getting input from users. Stay tuned for the next